Welcome back, gardeners and knowledge seekers alike. Today we are going over different plants, herbs predominantly, but some flowers that will help you repel pests in your garden. Now, I fully appreciate that this video is a little oddly timed, and it kind of came about by accident. When I was doing the mugwort video, someone had made a point in one of their blogs saying that they felt mugwort should be used as a last resort because it deters or kills helpful pests and pests that are there to destroy your plants. So here are some options that you can use if you don't want to use mugwort. I personally don't feel that way, and I know a few other gardeners that don't, but maybe you do, or maybe you're looking to add some variety to your garden to keep insects away and use the mugwort as sparingly or as needed as you can. Also, some of these can be used now that we are in the harvest season or as we go into the fall when, nature tries to find its way inside because it's warm. So these will also help you to keep pests out of your house through the entire year. The first one of these is actually kind of a little bit of a miracle plant because this plant repels not only chipmunks, squirrels, rabbits. I forgot to check on which plants repel things like groundhogs or woodchucks, but I believe these should fall into that category as well. And it is also semi-deer repellent, semi-deer resistant, and it's marigolds. Who would have thought? I always knew that they repelled deer and rabbits, but what I didn't realize is that their roots actually produce toxins that keep certain parasites like grubs or neophytes? Nematoids out of the soil and keep them from eating the roots of your plants. So they are incredibly beneficial for your garden in keeping out a number of pests. Now, as far as the bugs they repel, and I don't believe this is a completely comprehensive list, but I'm not sure. Oh, it's nematodes, aphids, whiteflies, mosquitoes, tomato hornworms, cabbage worms, bean beetles, black fly, and trips. So this is an excellent plant to plant around your garden whenever or however you see fit. This might also be good if you want to plant around a patio to keep mosquitoes away, or you can use it however you see fit and plant it wherever you like. Another plant that is actually equally surprising that you would not have expected are daffodils. These harbingers of spring also actually repel a lot of the same pests that marigolds do. So their root system, or the bulbs, produce another toxic or also produce toxic chemicals like marigolds that most animals don't want to dig up. So they help prevent chipmunks, squirrels, mice, voles, and moles from digging them up, and they will keep them away from your garden because they don't like the taste. They will also repel deer and rabbit, and the reason is that most animals hate the smell of daffodils. They also can't eat them because they're poisonous to the animals. So they will automatically be deterred from eating them and thus entering your garden. So that is another thing that you can use these lovely harbingers of spring for, is to create a barrier maybe around a flower bed or a garden. Maybe you have winter crops. Maybe you have early tender buds that are starting to grow that you want to keep them living. Daffodils make a wonderful thing, and this kind of caught me by surprise. I never would have thought it. The other nice thing is that if you want to do a technique called layering in your garden, which means you plant you plant flowers or herbs or different plants, shrubbery that start blooming from early spring to the end of fall in order to create food for a lot of pollinators, your bees, your butterflies, hummingbirds, stuff like different. I feel like I'm missing some moths, etc. Daffodils are a good way to start. There are probably other plants that you can also use, but this is a good place to have as your first layer of flower, herbage. I don't know how you want to classify these, and then just have different things that will flower throughout the summer and into the fall or spring and summer. Another friend to your garden that you can plant, although this plant kind of has a very mixed reception among gardeners and herb enthusiasts alike. It's mint. And this is actually a fantastic plant to repel deer, rabbits, chipmunks, and squirrels out of your garden. However, mint, catnip, lemon balm, anything in the mint family is also known to spread, and that is why it has a very mixed reception among people. It is great though for your cocktails and for cooking, and it is really good at keeping the animals away. Although I do kind of wonder if the rabbits in my garden have gotten that message, because I often see them hiding or kind of behind all of the mint plants and the lemon balm and whatnot. So I don't know if they don't like the scent, but it's the lesser evil to being eaten by a hawk, or if they just don't care anymore. So that is, but this will also keep a number of insects away. They keep out ants, aphids, cabbage moths, fleas, mosquitoes, spider mites, white flies, squash bugs, and cucumber beetles. The really great thing about mint is that you can also purchase it in oil form. Now, this will help you keep all the unwanted critters out of your house, your garage, your shed, etc. You can soak rags or cotton balls in the mint oil. You can create a spray. Just put a couple drops of peppermint oil or spearmint oil. Peppermint, I believe, is the stronger of the two and is far more repellent. But whatever you want to use is up to you. Put it in a spray bottle and spray it around the house. You will have to keep respraying, but it will keep things like spiders. It will keep the rodents most definitely out of your house, especially if you can't figure out where they're coming in. In the meantime, you can use this throughout the spring, the winter, the fall, the summer, however often you need to use it to keep them out of the house. And it's a huge, huge benefit. Another plant that you might actually enjoy having in your garden, or you can even grow in your house if you should so choose because it's a little late in the season, is basil. And basil will keep pests out of your garden, also out of your house if you should choose to keep it in the house, or if you can get like basil oil. I will also put the video here for dark opal basil that I did a whole thing on, but for now we're going to revisit it. And one good thing to know is that if you plant your basil plants with your tomato plants, it will help not only make the tomatoes more flavorful, but it will keep certain pests away from the tomatoes, and they kind of coexist very well together. But basil will also keep things like ants away, and it will keep mosquitoes, flea beetles, and cabbage webworms away from your garden and from your crops in general. It will also repel deer. Because they don't like the really strong smell, and some of that smell, and I don't think I'm going to pronounce all these right, like citronella, neurolidol, and eucalyptol, and limonene are the kind of essential oils that exist in the plants. So it will keep those away. It will keep deer away. On the other end, however, there are bugs that are specifically drawn to basil. So what's really nice is that you have an option of plants here that you can put around your garden, put around your flower bed, put around a patio to protect you from mosquitoes and flies and whatnot. Or you can protect your garden and create an herb garden for yourself as well, while also protecting whatever vegetables or flowers. There are also probably a number of flowers. This is by no means a comprehensive list. There's a lot more. Alums that I did not cover are really good at keeping pests away. Lemon balm is another one that's really good. You can also make smudges and stuff out of this. I intend to eventually do a full-length video. But lemon balm will also spread, especially if you disturb the plant. This is in the mint family. The first couple years we had it, it was just its regular old little bush form. And then I feel like my dad disturbed it to plant some tomato plants around it. And since then, it's just gone hog wild in the garden and all over the yard. But it is a very useful plant and is really good for in culinary uses as well. Thyme is another one that you can use to keep deer. You can use to keep rabbits, chipmunks, squirrels, etc. out of your garden. Oh, this smells thyme. this actually came back. I thought it had died over the winter, but it came back. So I was very excited to see that. A really great plant to have in your garden or as an essential oil is lavender. And lavender will repel a whole host of insects both inside the home and outside the home. It's good at repelling deer, rabbits, chipmunks, squirrels, and I'm gonna throw woodchucks in there as well because they're in the rodent family. And a lot of rodents typically all dislike the same thing. And essentially it comes down to the smell. While beings like bees really like it, most some insects do not, such as it keeps flies away. It can keep mosquitoes, moths, fleas, lice, ticks, and bed bugs away. Lavender also, the oil itself has elements of linalool, camphor, and limonene, which act as insect repellents, and then certain other compounds in um, in lavender, I forgot what herb I was talking about, are also toxic to a variety of insects. So you can also put cotton balls or rags soaked in lavender around the house, or you can make a spray out of this as well to use inside. So this is another plant that if you're lucky enough, I have a horrendous time growing lavender in the yard. It dies every year. I had one year where it did phenomenally well, and then it didn't come back. And I think I just live in an area where lavender is more of an annual than a perennial. Living in New England, like I just can't get it to live unless I just have it in a really bad spot. I don't know. But it's so sad because it's like one of my favorite scents and it's got so many different uses. But anyway, so this is actually really great to use. You can use the flowers if you can get them, or if you know someone that grows lavender, or you can use an oil. It's exceptionally helpful for a lot of things. You can also, if you wanted to, like put some lavender oil on a spray bottle and spray down the bed or the sheets, so that to help you fall asleep at night. It's another really good thing. So these next two things are kind of surprising, kind of not, because they can repel humans and vampires, but they can also repel a lot of insects. And that is onion and garlic. So I think I might be wrong, but depending on the area of the country you're in, I feel like garlic might be a winter crop. I'm not 100% sure. But these will keep ants out of your kitchen or out of your house, so you can cut like an onion and just leave the onion around. However, I also feel like you're going to keep your family out of the kitchen or out of the house. These both will repel basically the everyday animal pests, so your squirrels, your deer, your rodents, chipmunks, rabbits, etc., as will leeks. I believe shallots might as well. The problem with scallions and chives is that they may repel like rabbits or squirrels or chipmunks. The deer find chives actually really tender, so they do not repel deer. So again, it's a matter of you needing to mix and match what you're planting in your garden, because different things keep different pests away. What's really nice too is that garlic is another companion plant, kind of like basil. So if you plant this interspersed among your other plants, it will keep bugs away from them. The same thing with onions. If you plant onions around into other crops, it will keep other pests away. Garlic produces certain compounds that are toxic to an insect system. So if it goes to eat them, it will end up dying because of it, but it will repel ants, some aphids, caterpillars, cabbage loopers, cabbage flies, adult and eggs, not larvae, mosquitoes, mites, cutworm, eggs and larvae, armyworms, mealworm beetles, fruit flies, common house flies, adults and eggs, not larvae, weevils, termites, silverleaf whiteflies, gall midges, adults and eggs, not larvae, snails, and slugs. Garlic may also repel some sensitive smell animals such as deer and mice, and it is toxic for rabbits. Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that at all. So obviously a lot of these plants that I'm giving you will repel a variety of things. Some of them repel some of the same things. The really nice thing is that garlic can also be used as a fungicide. So if some of your plants get a blight, it also might be able to be used as that. I'm reading some of this stuff because I did really short blurbs when I originally put this together. And I was like, oh, you might actually want to know what insects these plants repel. And I looked it up real quick so I could read these off for you. But I will post, oh, I have to find them again. I will post these links in the description. This description is going to have a lot of resources in it. So the next one I have is probably a little unconventional. I actually had to look and see if it was still sold. I would not recommend this for most Americans, and there's a reason. So it's either coyote urine or what is known as blood meal, which is either dried cow's blood or pig's blood. The problem with both of these is that they will repel most pests, the animal kind. So, like your rabbits, raccoons, deer, squirrels, etc. However, they don't last long and they have to constantly be reapplied, especially when it rains. The, the more important thing and why I do not recommend them is because they smell horrendous. So if you can spit into your neighbor's backyard, if you can look through one bedroom window or through a kitchen window and look right into your neighbor's house, not a good idea. Unless you're trying to repel the two-legged pests as well as the four-legged ones. However, unless you have permission, if you have a large lot of property, if you have like an acre or more, it probably won't be quite as bad. But if you are relatively close house-wise, this is not a good thing to use just because of the smell. And it's kind of 50-50 whether or not it will actually work. But I did put it on here because we actually have used this in the past and can confirm that it will smell. And your neighbors will smell it. But if they're having the same problem, it kind of helps everybody out. But yeah, would not recommend using if the houses are really close to one another. Just, it's not worth it. It's in my opinion. But that's up to you. I mean, if you live off of a nature preserve or you live off of a national park would be the same thing, a swamp. If you're in a heavily wooded area, maybe it would pay, or it's another layer on top of other things that you're already doing. If you have a really big problem and your garden or your flowers and your plants are just getting completely mowed down, go for it. But again, the worst part is they don't last as long as maybe you would like for them to do, so they do have to constantly be reapplied. This next one, I don't know if this applies to the plants as well. So it's hot pepper. So if you want to try growing hot peppers in your garden and you're looking for an excuse, this might be a good one. I do not know if just planting the physical plants of, say, a chili or habanero, if it will do you any good, but you can try it. Otherwise, you may have to resort to things like chili pepper, cayenne pepper. You can make a spray like out of, I believe it's cayenne pepper and olive oil, and you can put it in a spray bottle. I can't remember if you have to mix anything else in there to kind of thin it out. But the problem is the mixture is so thick that it ends up clogging the spray bottle. So if someone knows how to do this and make it thinner so that it sprays, that'd be great. But this will repel the deer, the squirrels, chipmunks, woodchucks, rabbits. They don't like the capsaicin. That's the thing that throws them off, is that it's that hot pepper, the capsaicin, it automatically repels them. You can sprinkle like chili pepper, cayenne pepper, red pepper flakes around in the garden and hope that they eat it or that it affects the food somehow. This is kind of 50-50. We would try it and use it. So if someone knows a better method of putting it around, it's great. it should probably work really well. It's just I have not found a really good method to explore it yet, but we've tried it. Lord knows we've tried it. Another one is cinnamon. So, cinnamon will repel squirrels and chipmunks. It might repel rabbits. I'm not sure. Deer, meh. Um, but you have to use a lot of cinnamon. You have to sprinkle this around the yard, and like with the hot pepper, it can get blown away, it can get washed away. Um, but supposedly they don't like the smell of the cinnamon. Now, another thing you can do, you can also use these inside if you have a mouse problem or like you have squirrels or chipmunks getting in. You can put this stuff around, cinnamon or the hot pepper. Maybe it will work better inside. Just remember to wipe down any boxes or bottles if you're using this, or the shelves, especially if you're using hot pepper, because you don't want to end up accidentally touching your eyes or your skin. But you can also use clove oil, or this is a very old bottle of cinnamon oil. You can use these as well. Put them in a spray bottle and spray them as well. Do not spray your plants with this. Do not do like I did. I think it was 2 years ago. We have a very big squirrel and chipmunk problem. In case you couldn't tell by all the plants I picked out. So I did this one year, and without thinking, sprayed down most of the plants with it. Here's the problem: cinnamon oil is a skin irritant, and for some people, it may not bother them. Some people may get blotches. Some people may get really bad irritations. What it does is it kind of makes the skin feel like it's constantly burning. I discovered this because I had a nighttime lotion from a well-known lotion company that I would sometimes use, and I would always wonder why it would feel like my legs were hot, or like I would feel like I was kind of on fire. And it wasn't until years later when I was looking into this that I discovered it irritates the skin. So if you're going to do this, please wear gloves just in case you are one of those people that has a more pronounced reaction to it. Some people will, some people won't. But yeah, don't spray it on your plants. Spray it around them, because it will burn the plants just like it burns your skin. So didn't realize that. Also, because it was so hot a couple years ago, but I think that was also a contributing factor. So I just added, kind of more food to that fire. And yeah, don't do what I did. Learn from my lesson. Now, I think the next two are everyone's favorites, because who doesn't love them? Cats and dogs, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. Your cat or your dog can now be animal repellent. It won't work on the deer, but it will work on the smaller animals. If you are lucky enough to have a cat that's a mouser, you're in great shape, because they will just go out and kill the mice or the chipmunks. I don't know if they'll go after squirrels. I assume they would. I never had cats. I had cats by proxy because my cousins did. So I'm not sure how far their hunting prowess goes. But especially if you have an outdoor cat or a semi-outdoor cat, your whole neighborhood benefits because the cat roams around. And then, ladies and gentlemen, your dogs. So it will depend on, obviously, the breed of dog. Your small dogs are probably going to be really good at keeping away the rodent population, your rabbits, your squirrels, chipmunks, mice, rats, etc. Especially the terrier breeds, because that's what they were bred to do. I don't know if you have a toy dog or a lap dog, how well they'll do, but their mere presence their presence and their smell may be enough for some animals, not predators. The larger breed dogs, same deal. The other good thing is that if you have a dog that constantly sheds, we had a German Shorthair Pointer. It seems like she shed all year. We also had a German Shepherd Husky mix who is a double-coated dog, and the double-coated dogs, when you brush them, if you can find a way to save the hair and sprinkle it around the yard, that is supposedly supposed to act as repellent for different animals. It's one of those things where it will eventually blow away. You may have given the birds some great material for their nests, or some animals layering for their burrows. But You can try, and the good thing is you have a never-ending supply because you have your dog with you. So, but the dogs will obviously act as deterrents for certain things. The reason why I say I don't know if they'll work with the deer is that I don't remember for our shepherd husky, but I can distinctly remember a time with our German short hair where I used to live when I grew up. It was a very wooded area. We were surrounded mostly by woods, and we had generational families of deer that lived in the area. And I can remember one year there was one day during one summer there was a buck, a doe, and a fawn just crossing across the driveway, and the dog was out with my dad. The dog completely lost her shit. My dad's just standing there watching this whole thing. However, as the dog is barking at them, she's backing up. So, and the deer is just looking at her like, "What are you gonna do?" I think she was a little overweight. So even if she was a 90 pound, 50 to 90 pound dog, not gonna do much. Like, so she was the one looking for backup, going where's my backup? I can't do this alone. So that's why I'm like, I don't know if depending on the breed of dog, if they're going to be as much of a deterrent. They will potentially deter coyotes. Um, because we actually had a few years we had a coyote den somewhere in the house, and there were many a night when we would put her out and she would go careening off the porch, barking her head off, and no one would come out. They would just probably either just wait till she was gone or whatnot. So they can potentially deter coyotes in that respect, where it's just like, this is my land, stay off my land, I am here. um, Now, this is in the suburbs. Obviously, for those of you that own ranches or farms, you're going to take very different measures than someone that has just a small, like, backyard garden. So, this is just for the every person, every man, every woman that is just trying to get, keep the pests out of their gardens because that maybe they're growing extra food. Our neighbor at one of our houses used to grow flowers to sell. So it was a constant battle between him and, nature, just to keep the flowers safe until they bloomed for sale. So plant what you want, plant what works for you. If none of these appeal to you, look for plants that do. Plant stuff you'll use. Like, I have a friend, one of my good friends, hates lavender. So obviously she is never going to plant lavender in her garden. So sage is another one. Sage is really good at repelling all of these animals. I don't cook with sage. I do have it. I use it to dry for smudging, or if anyone ever needs it. So plant stuff that either you'll use or you'll cook with. You can use it in different manners. But yeah. So that's all I have to say on that. And I hope something in here is useful for you. These are things that you can also use all year round. If you can get oil, you can get sage oil. I have a bottle over there. You can get thyme oil. Rosemary is another really good one at repelling woodland pests or keeping them out of your house. So a lot of these things you can get in oil form. You can use like garlic and onions. You can leave them around. Obviously, you're going to have to change them out in case they start to rot. But this can help you put yourself in a position where, as we go into the fall, especially if you have rodents that like to get in and you're not sure where they're coming from, and until you can identify that, you can keep them out of your home. Same thing with the insects. We've been having an ant problem, have no idea where they're coming from. I can maybe put some of this stuff out to help deter them until we can figure something out. So it's stuff like that, where these are just home remedies that I hope you find useful. So take care, and until we meet again, bye.